Welcome back to another episode of the Gap Downbacker podcast. Today we have Coach Matt Turner. He's the offensive coordinator at Birmingham Groves High School, just outside Detroit, Michigan. Coach, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Nick. Thank you for giving me a chance to be here tonight.
No problem, Coach. I appreciate you coming on to talk some screens, and you're one of about two or three guests I'm going to have that are going to talk a variety of screens just because I'm just a little interested in it. I haven't really ran many the past couple of years, so I'm always looking for kind of how, why, kind of little tidbits to kind of make stuff go. But before we get into that, I mean, how did you end up at Birmingham Groves High School?
Well, I guess my background in coaching is, I think, probably a little bit unique. I started off, I grew up in Michigan. When I graduated from high school in 1985, I actually went down to Columbus to Ohio State. And Ohio State at that time was a school that was on quarters. So I didn't start college until the end of September. Most of my friends were going to schools that were on semesters. So most of my high school friends all left for college somewhere in the middle to the end of August. So I had about, I don't know, a month to 6 weeks of time from when all my friends left with nothing to do. And I was a probably average to maybe a little bit above average high school football player, but certainly not a great high school football player. But I loved high school football. It was a tremendous experience for me, made a huge impact on my life. And I went back to my high school coach and I said, hey, listen, coach, I'm going to be here until the end of September. I got nothing to do. So if you need somebody to help out, to be a lackey, whatever, I'd like to do whatever I can. And he was happy to have me, and he assigned me to help coach the freshman team. And I did that until I had to leave for college. And it was just an eye-opening experience for me. I had a tremendous time. And apparently he thought I did a good job, because when I left, he said to me, if you want to come back next year, I'll hire you. So, okay, fine, something to think about. I went to school, finished my freshman year at Ohio State, came back home, and I decided once you get the coaching bug in your blood, it's hard to get out, right? And so I decided I really liked it. And so I decided that next year not to go back to Ohio State. I stayed home. I coached at my old high school. I took a few classes at the community college. And then I went back to Ohio State in winter quarter. I did that again my junior year. And then after my junior year, the staff got fired. And so I went back to Ohio State, still loved coaching, decided I wanted to keep in it. And I started looking for jobs in Columbus. And I actually wound up hooking on with Bill Conley at the old Dublin High School, was at that time the one Dublin High School. I coached for 2 years at Dublin. And then I graduated from Ohio State in 1990, and I came back to Detroit, and I went to law school. And when I started law school, again, I had the same discussion with myself: is can I continue to do this and go to law school? And I decided that, well, my first year of law school is pretty important. I probably ought to really focus on getting good grades and focusing on school. So my first year, I did not coach, but I did do very well in law school. I figured out that I could do it. And after my first year, I decided I wanted to get back into coaching. I went back to my high school coach, who was at that point in time an offensive coordinator at a local Catholic school. And I said to him, do you know anybody who's looking to hire? And they were not, but he told me to call the coach at Birmingham Seahome. A guy named Doug Frazier was the coach at Birmingham Seahome then. I called him up. I said, I'm looking for a job. He interviewed me. When he interviewed me, he said, I'm going to hire you. He said, but I don't know what job I'm hiring you for. I don't know if it's going to be freshman, JV, varsity, but I'm going to hire you. And about a week after I got hired, the guy who had been there for years as the offensive coordinator and offensive line coach left to take a job on the other side of the state. And we talked, and so he made me the offensive line coach that year. We had a great team. We went 9-0. We won the league championship. It was a phenomenal year. And after that, he promoted me to offensive coordinator the next year. And that was at Birmingham Seahome. I was at Birmingham Seahome for 17 years. And I went through, in the 17 years that I was there with 4 different head coaches.
Okay.
So I was the offensive coordinator for 4 different head coaches over those 17 years. The last guy who was the head coach there is a guy who I'm still very good friends with to this day. But one of those interesting situations, we had been assistant coaches together. Then he became the head coach. I stayed on as the offensive coordinator. We didn't mesh well together in that role.
Yeah.
And so I left, and I went to a school called Troy Athens. In fact, the head coach of Troy Athens the year I was there, I know you're an Ohio guy, so you may know him, but the head coach of Troy Athens the year I was there was a guy named Daryl Maine. Does Daryl Maine ring a bell at all?
I think so. I think I've heard that name.
Daryl Maine was the head coach at Upper Arlington.
Okay.
The year they won the state championship in Ohio.
Okay, that's why that sounds familiar. All right.
Okay.
Yep.
So I was the offensive coordinator for Daryl Maine for that 1 year at Troy Athens. After that year, he called me back. The head coach of Seaholm called me back and said, "Big mistake letting you leave. I'd really like you to come back." And for my life and where I lived and where I was working at the time and my kids, and Birmingham Seaholm was a much better place for me to be than Troy Athens.
Yeah.
So I left and went back to Birmingham Seaholm for another year. It was the truest example of you can never go back. Once you leave, you can never go back again. We had a good year, a good season, but it was not a good experience. And I left again. Again, I left on great terms with the head coach. And again, he said to me, "Why don't you call Brendan Flaherty over at Birmingham Groves," which is the crosstown rival for Seaholm. And I called him up. I'd actually talked to him before I went to Troy Athens. And for whatever reason, he wasn't, they were running the wing T at the time. I had no interest in running the wing T. He wasn't ready to change yet. And so it didn't work out for us. I went back to Seaholm 1 year, and then I went to Groves. My first year at Groves was 2008. I've been there ever since. We had some lean years when I first got there. Since about 2011, we've been very, very good. We've been in the playoffs, I think, the last 6 years in a row. We made 2 trips to the state semifinals. We've had some really good teams, and it's been a great experience. And again, I'm a lawyer. That's what I do for a living, but coaching football is something I love to do. I figured out that I can manage the responsibilities of being an offensive coordinator, and that's why I've never sought to be a head coach, because it just doesn't fit into what my job is. But I love coaching, I love kids, I love football, and so here I am.
Now, before we get into the screen stuff, how has your offense evolved over that? God, what was it, like almost 30 years of being an offensive coordinator? How has that evolved for you over the course of that time?
It's interesting because I've always been, even going back to my high school when I played, I've always been an I formation guy at heart.
Okay.
And when I first got to Birmingham Seaholm, the year before I got there, they had been in a run and shoot. And the head coach was an offensive guy, a really, really good coach, smart offensive coach. And they had been really, really good. And then the year before I got there, they struggled. And then I came, and it was a very interesting dynamic as to how we took sort of some of the run and shoot things that they had been doing, melded it with some of the things that I knew. We ran, we were a under center, one back team, ran inside and outside zone, and threw the run and shoot passing game off of the inside and outside zone in the one back. And our running game wasn't very good. And so we slowly evolved from that back into the I formation, but still doing a lot of the run and shoot passing stuff. And if you really look at it, and if you look at the Mouse Davis run and shoot stuff and the Hal Mummy air raids things that Hal Mummy and Mike Leach are doing, it is really, really similar. So, so we've evolved now to where we are I would say we're 50-50 under center to gun. When we're under center, we're in the eye. We run, gap scheme power, gap scheme counter. We run outside zone, and we run a whole lot of play action pass off those 3 looks. Okay. And then, like I said, about 40 to 50% of the time we'll get in gun, and we run, one back spread stuff out of gun with this. My thing is, one of my big beliefs is there's a lot of window dressing that you can do with your skilled guys, as long as you're not asking your linemen to do anything different. So if your blocking schemes and your blocking rules are the same, there's a lot of different things that you can do with your skilled people to give your offense a lot of really nice window dressing. So we run a lot of one back concepts out of gun, but with the same gap scheme, outside zone scheme that we do when we're under center. So our linemen don't care if we're under center or if we're in gun. Okay. And then in our passing game, our passing game is still, we do a lot of we run a lot of kind of the air raid concepts, which really go back to those same run and shoot things that I learned when I first got to Seahome back in 1991.
Yeah. Now, when did you start adding screens, and what kind of led you to add those to your offense?
To me, well, let's start with this.
Okay.
For whatever reason, the schools that I have been at I have never had really big physical offensive line. All right. I've been fortunate to be part of some really, really good teams. I've gone to, my team, I went to one state championship at Seahome. We've been to state semifinals at Seahome. We've been to 2 state semifinals at Groves, multiple playoff appearances. And I'm not saying that to brag. What I'm saying is that in all of that time, in whatever 30 some years of coaching high school football, I've never had a Division I offensive line, not one. Okay. So, but what I have had is a lot of really good, athletic, smart kids. Okay, who can move their feet, right? And those are the kind of kids you can run screen with. Number one, and number two, in my opinion, running the screen it's kind of like cheating. Okay, all right. It's taking advantage of the it's taking advantage of the things that the defensive coaches have said to their kids from the first day of practice, right? We want to get to the ball in a bad mood. We're going to run and hit. We're going to play with our hair on. All of the cliches that defensive coaches say to their kids all year long. You start running screen, all of a sudden they got to start saying, "Whoa, hold on, we can't just go attack. We can't just go attack the football because." They're gonna take advantage of us if we do that. So, the screen really, if the screen works, great. If the screen doesn't work, it's still great because it slows down. If the defense believes that if the defense believes that you have a legitimate threat to run the screen, then they have to defend the screen. And if they have to defend the screen, that's at least one guy or 2 guys that aren't rushing your quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay. And so for that reason, I think that the screen is a tremendous weapon in your offense. And I believe, like for us, to me, a lot of people believe screen is something you have in your offense to run on 3rd and 20. Okay. When you don't have anything else good to run. All right. Yeah. Of course you can run screen then, and sometimes you'll get away with it. But for me, I love screen. I'll run screen on 1st down. I love screen on 1st down. I love screen on 3rd and medium, right? Because 3rd and 5, nobody's thinking screen 3rd and 5, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's thinking rush the quarterback on 3rd and 5. Nobody's thinking screen on 3rd and 5. So I love screen in that 3rd and medium situation. Okay, so 1st down, 3rd and medium, and the more you run screen, the more the defense has to think about screen, the less they can pin their ears back and rush your quarterback.
Okay.
All right, so I've just put this is all the screen film that I could come up with from our last 2 seasons. Okay. And I didn't take anything off of here. So there are some good plays and there's some bad plays. All right. And there are some great coaching points here about to learn why the plays that didn't work, why they didn't work. Okay. So this play here, this is our first game this past season. Obviously it was the COVID season, our summer, and no summer, no camp. So, we're kind of behind the 8 ball to start. But we're running a screen here. This is our slow screen. We're screening to our back in the backfield.
All right.
You'll see on this play, we're screening to the actual side where he's standing on. Throughout the game, he'll be on both sides of the quarterback for all kinds of different reasons. And sometimes we'll screen to the side he's on. Sometimes we'll line him up opposite the screen we're going to go to, and we'll bring him over the screen just so that the defense never never can get they can't get a read as to which side we're going to screen to based upon which side the back is on.
Yeah.
All right. So we can bring him across and we can screen to the opposite side. But here we're screening to the side that he's on. Now you have to talk about your protection and screen.
Yeah.
All right. So we are a combination protection. A man side and a zone, a 6-man man side, zone side protection. All right. So we're going to screen right here. So we always screen to the man side. All right. Our center guard and tackle are going to be on what we call turn back, and they're going to have their backside gaps. All right. And we're going to screen to the front side. So our protection is set up. We're protecting what we just call a rip, which means we're going to protect our right side is the man side. So you'll see our center guard and tackle. They don't do a great job here, but they do kick and turn back. You'll see the right tackle not doing a very good job in his pass set. He's kind of over-aggressive here, but he's blocking the right guy. So we tell him it's a count of 1,001, 1,000, go. Let the guy go, and then turn, shuffle your hips, and find the first guy inside. So if you look at 77 right there, other than the fact he's a little over-aggressive on his set, he's doing a pretty good job. Blocks him, lets him go, turns his hips, finds the guy inside, seals him. That's a nice job. The guard, for whatever reason, is setting the wrong way. For whatever reason, I don't know why he's stepping left. I think he thinks he's in the turn back, even though he's not.
Yeah.
So because of that, his defensive tackle, we'd much rather his defensive tackle go inside of him than outside of him like he is.
Yeah.
But it works out. It works out okay. So our screen is a 2-man screen. So the tackle is going to seal the inside guy, and you're going to see the guard is the kick-out guy, so they're going to create the alley. Now, we have a major problem here is that one of the things, really important coaching point for the back, is you never want to hit a guy who's already been hit once, right? So watch the guy here who the tackle's blocking. Watch the fullback hit the same guy the tackle blocks. That really screws up the timing of the play. This is the guy right here. That's who the fullback should be blocking. He should be making contact with that guy, his right shoulder to his right shoulder, so his momentum takes him right into the screen. But unfortunately, he runs into the wrong guy. And because of that, the timing's a little off, and that guy's able to turn and run him down. Now, it's still a 7-8 yard gain. That's a successful play in my book, but it could have been a lot better.
Yeah.
So, okay. So this is 2 years ago. We're still running the screen to the right here. Now, 2 years ago when we ran the screen, we made a decision that when we're in our 6-man protection, man side, zone side, our adjustment to blitz is we'll make a down call. And if we make a down call, what we say is we're going to go full slide. Everybody's going to turn back, and that means we're putting the fullback on the end man on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
So 2 years ago, we decided we decided to make it easier on our fullback. We said, okay, when we run screen, let's just make it automatic down, automatic full slide, and then the fullback always knows that that's his guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the reason we did not do it that way this past season, is while it's easier to do it this way, I think you actually get a better pass look to the defense when you don't go full turn back. All right. Okay. So you'll look, as you know, you're always giving up something to get something, right?
Yeah.
So when you go automatic down, what you get is it makes it easier in recognition, but what you lose is that really nice pass look you get when you're setting up a pocket. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, and now you'll see we got the back on the left, but we're still screening right. Now, we try and try and try. I try and try and try to get the back to hit that guy. Because if he hits him, watch. So I want you to watch the defensive tackle. I want you to watch that kid right there.
Yeah.
The reason he makes the play is because he sees the fullback go for the screen. And the reason he sees the fullback go for the screen is because he doesn't hit this kid. Mm-hmm. If he would have hit him, that would have slowed things down about a second. That defensive tackle never would have seen the fullback, and he'd have been running free. He'd have been running free in the secondary. That makes sense?
Yeah. And what do you tell your quarterback about his footwork on the slow screen?
Okay, so what I tell the quarterback, let's watch the quarterback here and see if he's good. So what we tell him is, so our 5-step drop out of gun is 3-step drop for the quarterback.
Yeah.
Right. So if we were throwing one of our our 5-step drop passes out of gun, he'd be taking a 3-step drop. So what we tell him is, take your 3-step drop, hit your 3rd step, hold it for as long as you can. Suck those defensive linemen in as close to you as they can. When you start feeling that heat, you're going to turn and backpedal. And then as you turn and backpedal, just all we want to do is just flip the ball nice and easy, just over their heads to that back.
Okay.
I mean, just almost, it's just a dead pass.
All right.
I mean, you're just flipping it with your wrist. So let's see the quarterback. So 1, 2, 3, not terrible. I would have liked him to have stopped there so right here. 1, 2, 3. I would have liked him to have stopped there.
Yeah.
To suck those guys in a little bit more before he throws the ball. But it's pretty good. So again, we got the back on the left. We're screening to the right. This is 2 years ago, so you're going to see that the linemen are going to go automatic down. Now, again, this is a great example, this play here, of why it is so important for the back to hit that end and not just whip on him. Because we're going to see the exact same thing happen. So we go down. Here comes the end. The fullback whiffs. Watch the defensive tackle. As soon as he whiffs, he sees him, and he's running after him. If he hits that kid, he doesn't whiff. If he doesn't whiff, that defensive tackle never sees him. He's not in the passing lane. And look at what this play is going to look like if we can get the ball to 11. I mean, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there is nobody there. If this one kid stopped the play because the timing was off, because the fullback didn't hit that defensive end. I mean, it is so important. You got to hit that guy. So this is the end zone shot. You get a great look at it here on the end zone shot. So you can really see it. Watch that defensive tackle, watch his head. When he whiffs, he sees him go, and there he sees it. Now he's gone, and he's in the way of the ball. So the quarterback can't get it to him. Again, if he would have just hit that kid, you can really see the timing. That defensive tackle never would have seen it. He'd have rushed the quarterback, and we'd have had a big play. All right, so this is our second game this past season. This kid playing fullback. This is the second game he's ever played fullback, and this is probably the first screen that he's ever run. And you're going to see what he does here is he gets in front of the lineman. And that's a really crucial coaching point for that back. He has got to stay behind his offensive lineman.
Yeah.
See how he gets in front of him?
Yep.
Once he gets in front of the lineman there, play's over. Both the linemen, unfortunately, didn't come to balance and didn't make blocks. But he's, you got to coach that guy. He's got this, he can't have ants in his pants.
Well, yeah,
he's got to be patient.
It gives
and he's got to let those linemen
there.
do their thing before he turns and slides.
Yeah, I mean, it gives the entire thing away to the linebackers, so they're able to make a play. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no question about it. So here's the same kid. This is the same kid. This is later in the season. This is like the 8th game of the season, and watch the difference. So he stays behind.
Yeah.
Now I'd like him to stay even more behind, but at least he waits and lets them go. Now, unfortunately, our guard here should have been blocking this kid, but he couldn't because the defensive tackle never rushed the quarterback. So we lost him having to stay in the defensive tackle, and so that safety made the play.
How much has it? I mean, you talked a little bit about it earlier. How much has especially your slow screens, helped neutralize some of the potential pass rush you guys get because of how much? Well,
a lot.
Your availability of it. Okay.
A lot. I mean, a lot. It takes teams. It takes teams out of blitz, and it forces them to their defensive linemen have to really think about screen. They have to practice screen. They got to think about screen. And if they're thinking about screen, they're not thinking about rushing the quarterback.
Yeah.
Right? So like I said, a lot of the threat of screen can be just as important as the screen itself.
Okay.
All right. So as you can see, again, our fullback really doesn't hit anybody. The defensive lineman doesn't rush. And our quarterback does a smart thing and throws the ball away. All right, so now we're into our jailbreak screens. Okay, so let me just tell you a little. So before I get to jailbreak, is there anything else you want to ask me about our slow screens?
Nope.
Anything else I can answer about our slow screens?
Nope. Let's just go to the jailbreak, Coach. I think you answered a couple questions.
So we're in a jailbreak now. So what we tell our guys is our linemen need to know before the screen how many receivers are on the side that we're screening to.
Right.
So on this one, we're screening right. So now we move, we motion a lot. So right now we're in what we call tray. Okay, this is our tight end in a flex position here. But we got two receivers to the jailbreak side. The way we do this is we number guys. All right. So if there's two receivers, we always not always, but we generally throw our jailbreak to the widest receiver. All right. The inside receiver, he's got number one.
All right.
So that's number one right there. Okay. The tackle is not involved in the jailbreak. So the tackle's job is to take that defensive end, and we tell him to club the hell out of that guy. We want to get that defensive end as far up the field as we can, so we have a throwing lane to throw our jailbreak screen. All right. So this guy's number one. We don't count free safeties. We count guys who are less than 10 yards from the ball. So this guy here is less than 10 yards from the ball. He's number two. So the guard's going to have number two. The center is going to have number three. All right. Now, I will tell you, this is what we coach them. This is what we tell them. But a lot of times, people don't wind up where they start. And, part of this is just being an athlete and getting to a spot and finding a guy.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, and then the tackle, the backside tackle is number 4 to trash, is what we said. You look for number 4 or you find a guy. All right. So the front side tackle is kick, shuffle, and club. And then it's number 2. The guard has number 2. The center has number 3. The backside guard has number 4. The backside tackle has trash. Okay. And their job is to punch and go. Okay. So we throw jailbreak. We call it 60 because that's our 3-step protection, our 3-step scheme. We throw jailbreak off of our 3-step drop protection. So they're all stepping to their play side gap. If there's someone in their play side gap, they'll punch them. That's all. They won't block them. They'll just punch them. No one's in their gap. They just go as fast as they can. All right. And try and get to their spot. And we're trying to create that tunnel between the first and second level. So you see the tackle there. He's going to club. Here comes the guard. 59 is coming. All right, so there's a corner. So what happens here is the guard. What happens here is the guard winds up switching with the receiver. They ultimately wind up getting it right, and that's why I say a lot of this is even though we assign them guys, a lot of jailbreak screen success is having your linemen be able to be athletic enough in space to find the most dangerous guy when they get to their spot.
Yeah.
So you can see him here. So the receiver does a really nice job of attacking upfield for 3 steps, 1, 2, 3, before he turns and comes back. Okay. Those 3 steps are really important because those get these guys to back up. All right? If you just turn and come to the jailbreak right away, the defensive backs know it's jailbreak and they attack it, right? But if you attack it up the field first, they don't know what it is.
Now,
so there we go. So there we got a nice seam. Center picks off a guy. My receiver's got a guy. The tight end, he's responsible for the free safety.
Okay. Now, what are you telling your quarterback on his footwork here? Because is it more of a true 3 and set, or I saw a little bit of it there, but like I said, that's one clip snapshot.
Yeah. So basically jailbreak is a 1 step.
Okay.
So he's going to get the ball. He's going to take his step. Okay. Right. And then he's going to throw.
Okay.
All right. Now, the play you're about to see here, we call this 60 dust. All right. Now, our dust is a double screen. And this is a great concept. All right. So dust means if we call 60 dust, it means we're running jailbreak to the right. Okay. And it means we're running dust to the left. So dust means that the back here is going to swing left. We do not block the backside defensive end. If the backside defensive end runs to the quarterback and rushes the quarterback, all we do is flip the ball to the swing. The X receiver, the single receiver, is going to crack the first guy inside. The backside tackle is going to step inside of the B gap, and he's going to come flat and look to block the corner. So it's a 2-man screen between the X receiver and the tackle on the flare here. At the same time, we're running jailbreak to the right. So if the defensive end does go and cover the flare, the quarterback can turn and throw the jailbreak to the right. Now, what you're going to see here is the quarterback decided that he liked the jailbreak. So even though he should have thrown the dust, he threw the jailbreak.
Yeah.
But watch the back. See the back go flare?
Yep.
And the defensive end closes inside. So that should be his read to throw here.
Okay.
Okay. But this kid right here is being recruited by everybody in the country. And so he wanted to throw the jailbreak to this kid here. So that's what he did.
That helps,
which is fine.
That helps when they're getting recruited to a lot of people.
Yes, it does. Now, our receiver here, our X receiver, number 1, he's lined up too wide and he comes too far up the field. You see how he's got to crack that guy. Yeah. He could never make that crack. If he had thrown here, we never would have made the crack because he's too far up the field. But he throws a jailbreak. Athlete's got the ball. Good football play.
Yeah.
Now here's Dust again. This time he does throw the flare. And again, this is a great example of our X receiver going too far up the field, and so that inside backer gets underneath him. He's got to come flat.
Yeah.
Right down flat to this backer. Because think about it, if he cracks this guy like he's supposed to, there's a lot of grass up there on the sidelines.
Yeah, and you're now one-on-one with the corner, which in high school...
And we got the tackle who's actually coming out to block the corner.
Yeah.
Okay? So, you missed that crack, though, and... It's still a 5-yard gain. We'll take that any day of the week. Here it is. Here's Dust again. Now again. Now you see this receiver right here?
Yeah.
Now this is a really, really, really dumb receiver. You know why I can say that? Because he's my kid. But his job is not to run this guy off.
Yeah.
His job is to crack this linebacker. And watch the play if he cracks the linebacker.
Yep.
But because he doesn't, again, it's not a bad play. We still got 4 yards.
It could have been a lot more. The other thing is,
but it could have been a lot more, exactly.
The other thing is that if you're a man like that and you go into crack, they'll follow you up to a point. So I mean, you're helping yourself at the same time there.
Really right, that kid's going to go with you anyways.
Yeah, it's 2 for 1.
So you get 2 for the price of 1. So we get the ball in the funnel there, get a good play there. So we throw a lot of jailbreak screen. We have a lot of success throwing jailbreak screen.
Now, what did you say your your wide receivers footwork was again? Was it 2 or 3 vertical then back?
So against an off coverage like this, it should be 3 steps. Okay. Now this kid here again, this is that same kid who's really good, but he's got ants in his pants.
Yeah.
And he's always quick. You're going to see he won't take the full 3 steps. It would be better if he did.
Yeah.
Now again, still pretty good, right?
Yeah.
But it'd be better if he took the 3 steps. So let me show you this one. So before, when I criticized my kid for being dumb, he's pretty good on this one. So now he's got press coverage. So when we run into jailbreak is great against press coverage. When we run it against press coverage, you got to give this guy a look like you're trying to get a release. You got to sell it like you're trying to get a release, and then instead of trying to run by him, all of a sudden you're going to see he's going to turn and go back on his jailbreak course. Number 4 does a great job blocking the guy who's covering the guy we're throwing it to. And we get in the funnel.
That's a great job by number 4. Perfect.
Did a great job. Great job blocking the guy who's covering the guy we're throwing the jailbreak to. So this is so 19-6. They had to. A lot of jailbreak is having feel. You got to have a receiver that has a feel for it, and if you got a receiver that's got a good feel for it, it's a really good play. All right. Let me get to some of the tricks, because the trick plays off of it is really good. All right. So all we want to do when we want to try and run a shot off of one of our screens, we'll add the word fox.
Okay.
Fox for fake. That's our terminology. Okay. So here we have 60 Ram Fox, which means we're going to give the jailbreak look, but we're going to throw the ball deep. So what's going to happen here is the receiver is going to run the jailbreak. This receiver is going to run like he's blocking the jailbreak. He's going to sell the block on this kid. As soon as these guys come up to play the jailbreak, he's gone down the seam. So the quarterback's going to get the ball. He's going to pump the jailbreak, reload, and then he's going to throw the deep ball down the seam.
Yeah.
Pump it, step up, throw the deep ball. The linemen are blocking this is just 3-step. Everybody's blocking their play side gap protection. It's kind of cutting off on the film, but can you see the slot receiver throttle down there right at the end? Right there, and then he's gone.
Yeah, I see it, Coach.
Yep. All right. Now we run some bubble too. So again, 66 is our bubble. So here we got 66 Fox. Yeah. So we're going to run bubble. We're going to sell like we're running the block in the bubble, and then he's just going to go, and we're going to throw the fade down the sideline to the outside receiver. Quarterback's going to pump the bubble, find that hole, and get the ball down the field.
Okay.
This is dust. This is dust again, which is the two-sided screen. Let me see if I can get a few more of the tricks in there. Here we go. So now we're throwing 70. So 70 slam Fox. So we're going to fake the jailbreak left. Inside receiver is going to sell the block, and then boom, he's gone. Now the quarterback decided he didn't like it, turned around, made a really nice play the other way. But that's just two kids. That's two kids being an athlete, because that ball was supposed to go the other way.
Yeah.
This is a great one here. All right, Coach, so that's what I got.
Okay. Now, I mean, what is typically your progression for installing this? In terms of where do you typically start? Where do you typically stop? Oh, not stop. Let me rephrase this. When you start installing your screen package, where do you start with your screens? Do you try to get a lot of them in the same day? Do you try to do common blocking schemes together? How does that process usually work for y'all?
All right, so that's a great question. So our slow screen, which we call snails are pretty slow, right? So yeah. That's our slow screen. We throw our slow screen off of our 5-step or 50 protection. So when we put in our 50 protection, at the same time we'll put in our slow screen. Our jailbreak screen, we throw off our 3-step protection, which is our 60-70 protection. So when we put in our 60-70 protection, we'll put in our jailbreak screen. Yeah. So basically what I do is when the season starts, I come up with what I call a take-on calendar. All right. So I start with the first day of practice. So I assume on the first day of practice that nobody knows anything. Okay. That there's been no, we have football tech class in school. We have summer camps. We do all those things. But when we start on day one, I assume that nobody knows anything. And we start with installation from ground zero. So if a kid moves in the day before school starts, that kid's still got a shot.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I do my take-on calendar where I say to myself, I got to have everything in. I got to have everything in by basically the Thursday of the second week of practice. Okay. And so I'll start with day one. Okay, what are we putting in day one? What are we putting in day two? What are we putting in day three? And so I make sure that by the time we get the way our schedule is set up in Michigan, we have 3 weeks from first practice to first game. Okay, so we start on Monday. We have the way it is now is Monday and Tuesday are just helmets. Wednesday, you can wear shoulder pads, and I think Thursday you can go full pads. But so you have the first week of practice.
Okay.
Then you have your which are your traditional double days. You have your second week of practice. Traditionally your scrimmage would be on Thursday of that second week. And then after the scrimmage, you'd watch film of the scrimmage on Friday, and then you're in the game plan for the first week. All right. So, my thing is I want to have pretty much everything in by the time of that scrimmage on Thursday. All right. And so that's why I make sure I have a calendar, and I make sure that I can fit everything in, by that time.
Okay. And then how much outside of practice do you work with your developing y'all's quarterbacks, not only for screens, just in general? Is there any type of quarterback school or anything that you guys kind of do? I know every state's a little different with their off-season rules, but summer usually kind of opens up. What does that kind of look like for you guys?
So in the off season, we can work with up to 4 guys.
Okay.
A coach can work with up to 4 guys. Our quarterback coach, believe it or not, is also a lawyer like I am. So neither one of us are. It's funny in our staff, we have a bunch of teachers who are in the building.
Yeah.
All of the teachers who are in the building are on the defensive side of the ball.
That's funny.
Okay. On the offensive staff, we're all outside. We're all outside of the building. But for what it's worth, to answer your question, our quarterback coach does a tremendous job with our quarterbacks. He works with them extensively in the off season. They watch film. They have weekly meetings. They watch film. They go over coverages. He throws with them. He arranges throwing with them with the receivers. So we have basically for the last 3 weeks, every Sunday we've had basically throwing with our quarterbacks and receivers who've gotten together. We've had nice enough weather to do it, and they've gotten out there and thrown together. Okay, so we spent a tremendous. We have to throw the ball to be successful at Birmingham Groves. Okay, now we're not going to throw it 40 times a game, but we have to throw the ball to be successful. And we spend a lot of time working on being successful throwing the football because, it's an integral part of our offense, and you can't do that without quarterbacks who can execute what you need to do.
Yeah, and then the last question I got for you before we go, Coach, is obviously you're the O-line coach. Is there any specific drill you prefer to do to help develop screens, either for your offensive linemen?
So we will do screen drill every week. Okay. And we do a separate drill. We have a separate drill for jailbreak screen than we do for our slow screen. So for our jailbreak screen, and this is a real simple drill, but it works real well, is all we'll do is we'll get on the field. Maybe we'll be on the goal line, right?
Yeah.
We'll put the ball on a hash or in the middle field, doesn't matter. And then we'll take the little doily cones. The cones that just sit on the field and only are this are off the field, and we'll set up 4 or 5 cones. We'll have a cone for the corner, cone for the outside linebacker, cone for the inside linebacker, cone for the inside linebacker. So, and then we'll put up the offensive line against the air, and we'll just go 60 ram, and I'll say hit, and the right tackle will take his kick shuffle steps and club. Everybody steps to their play side gap. They simulate their punch, and then they all go to their cone to work on that habit of getting on the right track to get to where they need to get to their gap. And we'll do that a few times going to the right, and we'll do that a few times going to the left.
All right.
Right. And that's how we'll practice the jailbreak screen with our line. Then when we get into our perimeter time, we will always get a few reps every single week of jailbreak going to the right and jailbreak going to the left.
Okay.
All right.
That's perfect.
And I will tell you this: you can see by the film, we didn't devote enough time to being good enough at our slow screen. Yeah. The slow screen is great. It should have been a better play. It's my job to get some of those things fixed that stop it from being a better play. Yeah. And you can see that if we fix a few of those problems, it's going to be a tremendous weapon for us. The kid who's going to be our fullback this year, he's not as fast as the kid last year, but he's got the knack for that screen, and it's going to be really good.
Good. Well, coaches, make sure you, 1, check out the sponsors and affiliates below. 2, Give Coach a follow on Twitter. Reach out to him. Coach got back to me pretty quickly when he got recommended to come on here. So please check out Coach there. Give him a follow. Reach out to him. Like and share the video. Helps other coaches find it. So, again, they can hear and see what Coach is doing. Also, obviously, subscribe, turn on the bell, and all that lovely jazz. So you get notified anytime another podcast or anything else drops. If you're listening to this on Anchor, Spotify, or one of the other podcasts, same thing, share, or you can jump on YouTube, type in probably at this point either one of our names, and you'll be able to find it. And I know if you type in Coach's name and then type in my last name, it should pop up in like one of the first three things. So make sure you check that out if you want to see all the video. And then thank you again for everybody for the support. And that was another episode of the Gap Down Backer podcast.